We're underway here in Columbia. Adam Yates sends it deep. Spiller from the 5. And he's cut down at the 25-yard line. Nice tackle made by Brandon Davis. So here comes Kyle Parker, his first exposure to this rivalry game. We have a redshirt freshman quarterback for Clemson. We have a sophomore quarterback in Stephen Garcia for South Carolina, and both are playing in this game for the first time.
Well, and their main responsibility early in this game will be to manage the emotions. Anytime you're in a rivalry game like this, emotions are high. A lot of guys are necessarily out of position, but want to make a big play early in the game, and as a quarterback you have to settle your team down, and then once the game gets going you have to be efficient.
Well, the South Carolina kickoff coverage unit was so amped up to play in this game they were offsides on the opening kickoff, so Dabo Swinney says absolutely move them back and give C.J. Spiller another chance.
Yeah, and anytime you can give the ball to C.J. Spiller on a kickoff, Dabo Swinney likes his chances. He had 16 returns coming into this game, 3 of which were returned for touchdowns. That's a little less than 20%. Every single time he touches a kickoff, he takes it for a touchdown.
6 times C.J. Spiller has brought a kickback for a score. One more and he would set the all-time record. And he'll get another opportunity here. This place is so amped up for this game, they could kick it off 5 more times as far as I'm concerned. Spiller this time from the 12. Has a lane and he's down the sideline. C.J. Spiller. No one's going to touch him. Touchdown. But what Mark Ingram couldn't do yesterday, which was make a big statement play in a big rivalry game, Auburn, Alabama, could C.J. Spiller make a bigger statement for a potential Heisman run to start off this afternoon's rivalry game with South Carolina? He goes over 7,000 yards and sets the all-time NCAA kickoff return record for touchdowns on the first play of the game.
And what a way to do it. A heck of a start to the game for C.J. Spiller. And when he gets to the edge, nobody's going to catch him. He's quite simply the most electric player in college football. And for him to start out this rivalry game against South Carolina on this note right here, that's what senior leadership is all about. And that's why, in my opinion, he should be in the hunt for the Heisman.
For C.J. Spiller, it's also the 21st touchdown of his career. That was a 50-yard play or longer, and the 9th time this year that he scored a touchdown of 50 yards or longer. If you want a Heisman Trophy winner, potentially, that defines impact player. He makes an impact play, it seems, every week.
Well, and he changes the game. He sets it up for his Clemson offense. They average getting the ball on the 38-yard line every time they get the ball. Teams are scared to kick to him. They don't want him to get the ball in the pass game, in the running game. They won't punt it to him. He's even thrown a touchdown pass this year. He's just done everything he possibly can for this Clemson team to be successful, and really has gotten them to the ACC championship game. What a big penalty that was. You know, the first kickoff, we talked with Steve Spurrier and asked him what his plan was, whether he was going to kick to Spiller or not kick. He said, you know, we have a lot of faith in our coverage teams, but we're not just going to kick him a ball that's a lollipop that he can return easily. And I think that's what you saw on the first kick. On the second kick, it gave him every opportunity to return it.
This is the redshirt freshman Bryce Sherman. He's an exciting player as well, and he's out to about the 27-yard line. A 23-yard kickoff return. To the offense now goes South Carolina and Stephen Garcia. Last year only made 3 starts, so he's 7-7 as a starter during his career. But again, for the sophomore starter for Steve Spurrier, Brian, this is his first opportunity to start this game. His first chance to play in this football game, and for him it's no different than Kyle Parker. He needs to manage the emotion early. Clemson comes out, gets a big play. It's critical here that they get some first downs, move the ball, and get back some momentum. They spread it out and run Brian Maddox up the middle for 2. Let's get to our South Carolina impact players, brought to you by Jared. And one of the weapons for Stephen Garcia is true freshman Alshon Jeffrey. He's the go-to guy the second part of the season for South Carolina with 6 touchdowns. On defense, junior defensive end Cliff Matthews is Mr. Hustle. He'll be all over the field today chasing C.J. Spiller. And true freshman Stephon Gilmore has a chance to be one of the best ever at South Carolina at the corner position. Trying to turn the corner to the near side is Maddox. Run out of bounds at the 32-yard line by Cavell Connor. Picked up 5. It'll be 3rd down and short. And just thinking about the quarterbacks, Brian, you played in maybe the rivalry game in college football, Michigan-Ohio State. What is a quarterback going through his first time in a game like this? Well, I mean, there's a lot of emotion, as we said, but really the key for these guys is to be efficient. You don't have to win the game in the first quarter. Just get through the first quarter without giving up the big play. Allow your team to get some rhythm offensively and get the ball to your playmakers. On a keeper, it's Garcia, and he has a first down and a lot more. Bowls his way into plus territory. Behind Quentin Richardson, the right tackle. And this will go a long way to settling down a quarterback as well, to get a run under your feet and then get in the secondary and lower your shoulder and run over the safety right there. That will take a lot of the pregame jitters out of Stephen Garcia. And a little bit of the read option there from Steve Spurrier. I expect to see some wrinkles today against a very good Clemson defense. They can't just line up and run the ball. They're going to have to do it creatively on offense. Again, a keeper for Garcia. 6 yards on first down. At the top of your screen, you'll see the starters first for the South Carolina offense. And they run a spread formation, as you would expect, with Steve Spurrier. And I think you see early in this game from Steve Spurrier that he wants to get Stephen Garcia into the game, into a rhythm before he throws his first pass. So 2 straight running rushes for Stephen Garcia and get him into this ballgame. Offset eye on 2nd down and a short 5. Garcia off a play action fake, looking for the home run, underthrows it to Brown, and it's almost intercepted. Chris Chancellor had a chance at a pick. Clemson's secondary, their defense overall, but specifically their secondary, 20 interceptions this season. Yeah, it was hard play action, and he had Mo Brown down the field. Didn't look like he got enough on the football. If he would have thrown that out and across the field, he may have had a shot, but he throws it short, and Chris Chancellor almost comes up with a tremendous interception. Clemson's defense, number 2 in America, picking the ball off this year. 3rd down, again a short 5. Quick slant, caught. Alshon Jeffrey fumbles the football. Still loose. Who's got it at the 34-yard line? And it stays with South Carolina. But it looked like Brandon May, the linebacker, number 20 for Clemson, came over and it popped the ball out right there. And I thought Chris Chancellor may have had an opportunity to fall on that ball. Tried to scoop it up and score with it and lost the football. Big recovery for South Carolina. A big early break. Steve Spurrier this week lamenting the fact that his team has been so terrible taking the ball away. Clemson is +8 in the plus-minus ratio this season. They've been great in that department. Maddox spins for maybe a yard. Brandon May was there to make the stop. And South Carolina comes into today having lost 3 in a row, 4 of their last 5, and the giveaway takeaway margin has been, as it always is, the most important statistic during the streak.
Well, and they haven't had an obscene number of giveaways on offense, but they just have not been able to get any takeaways on defense. They're 112th in the country in turnovers on defense, and that's why that ratio is off right there.
8th play of this first drive for South Carolina. Tipped ball at the line, falls incomplete. Daquan Bowers got a hand on the football. The Clemson starting defense now at the top of your screen. And Daquan Bowers, who plays guitar with his dad in a world-famous gospel band, the legendary Singing Stars. That's his weekend job. Although he may have to find some other opportunity to play with those guys if they normally play on Sundays, because he might have something else to do on Sundays a couple of years from now. He's only a sophomore, along with Ricky Sapp on the other side. They call those two the Bamberg bookends, as they grew up in the same town, went to the same high school. Garcia over the middle, and that one is intercepted. Rashard Hall has his 6th interception of the season. So the Achilles heel for South Carolina bites them again, trying to turn it over.
And it's Rashard Hall, number 31, a freshman, making a big play early in this football game.
The 107th meeting all-time between Clemson and South Carolina. And it's Clemson with the early lead, 7-0. Bob Wischusen alongside Brian Griese. An interception by a sophomore quarterback making his first start in this game. We just saw that a moment ago. Probably not surprised the nerves have shown already.
Yeah, you got to manage. That's what we talked about. And early in this game, an interception is what you want to avoid. And for Stephen Garcia, he's going to have to make some plays today to beat this Clemson defense, which is very good.
Well, now it's the opportunity with C.J. Spiller taking back the opening kickoff for a touchdown for Kyle Parker to step on the field for the first time. Let's see how the redshirt freshman handles his first drive. He'll put it up on first down and find a wide open Jacoby Ford. Out of bounds just shy of midfield.
And a lot of time for Kyle Parker to sit in the pocket, a little bit of a rollout, get him outside the pocket, and Jacoby Ford's got all the speed to burn. He's just going to come across the field and find the open area against the zones. And South Carolina's going to play a lot of zone defense today because they're worried about the speed of Clemson. And if they do that, Kyle Parker has got to find the zones and hit open receivers in those zones.
Ford in motion. Instead, it's a handoff to Jamie Harper. And he lowers his shoulders out for about an 8-yard gain to the 43. And let's take a look at our Clemson impact players brought to you by Jared.
You just saw him on that last play. Jacoby Ford is a speed demon. He's going to get the ball in reverses, slip screens, down the field, all kinds of ways. Corner Chris Chancellor, his 40th consecutive start today. He's got 9 career interceptions. And Rashard Hall, you saw him with the interception early. A freshman safety. That was his 6th interception of the season.
Ford to the 36-yard line. That's good for a first down. A nice job by Kyle Parker. Boy, that looked like it may have been his 3rd option on that play.
Well, it was a great job with his eyes. It looked like he was going to throw the ball out to the flat to C.J. Spiller. Right there, he pumps out, and then it opens up the zone for Ford in between. And if you're going to play against zone defenses, you have to use your eyes to move defenders. And as Kyle Parker has learned this year how to play the quarterback position, he's getting better and better with his eyes and moving defenders.
Spiller back in the game as the I-back. He takes the toss. It's a reverse. Ford wants to throw it. Buying even more time. Finally steps out of bounds and takes a hit. And the flag comes out. Cliff Matthews bumped him out of bounds, and that'll cost South Carolina 15 yards. What would have been a loss of 3 turns into a gain of 15.
You're going to see the pitch out in reverse, and they're trying to throw the ball back to Parker, who's going down the field right there, but he's not open. Jacoby Ford does a good job not throwing the football and getting away from a couple defenders, and that's just emotion early in the game from Cliff Matthews, who arguably could be their best player on defense, has missed the past couple of weeks with an injury and is just excited to be back out there, but you have to manage those emotions.
Jamie Harper, late in motion into the backfield. He fumbles the football. Picked up by Norwood. Eric Norwood still on his feet, and finally his own momentum brings him down at the South Carolina 40. Akeem Auguste, the cornerback, knocked the ball free.
And finally a turnover for the Gamecocks. They haven't had one in 4 games. And an opportune time for them to cause a fumble right there, and they're all everything. Eric Norwood picks it up, and the grass gets him.
Finally a takeaway for the South Carolina defense. They get the ball back down 7 to Clemson. Steve Spurrier told us earlier this week, said, I can remember saying a few weeks ago, I can't remember going 2 weeks without a takeaway, and that was 2 weeks ago. Now it's been 4 weeks without a turnover. Our offense is just not good enough to continually be asked to go 80 yards for scores. Well, now they only have to go 60 yards because finally his defense takes the ball away.
And they need to get back to playing complementary football on offense and defense, and turnovers is a big part of that.
Wildcat formation. And a run out to about a 48-yard line.
It's Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore, the corner right there, lined up in the Wildcat. Last week, Virginia used a lot of the Wildcat against this Clemson defense and was very successful with it. It's not surprising to see Steve Spurrier implement this early in this game. They're lined up in it again.
Gilmore stays in to take the direct snap. And Gilmore has a first down. The genius of this is that Stephon Gilmore wears the same number as Steven Garcia. They both wear 5. So if you're on the Clemson sideline, or maybe you're looking from a personnel standpoint from the coach's box way up top, and you see 5 run out there into the huddle, you might say to yourself, all right, well, they've got their base personnel on the field. All of a sudden you realize, wait a minute.
I think the hair looks a little bit different. Gilmore was a high school quarterback and was a do everything in high school, and his high school coach said he used to make sure he's on the bus and then just give him the ball.
He's got 2 yards on this next carry. Rich Rodriguez actually recruited Stephon Gilmore to play quarterback at Michigan because he thought he would be a perfect Wildcat spread read option type quarterback to bring up to Ann Arbor, just like Brian Griese.
Yeah, I don't think I had quite the movement that Stephon has, but he has started at the corner position since day 1 here at South Carolina. These are his first snaps at quarterback.
And he'll throw it. Wants the bomb for Jeffrey. He's got it inside the 10, down to the 8-yard line.
Well, and there's no doubt he can throw the ball. He went up to true freshman right here, and Gilmore puts it out there for Jeffrey, who's 6'3", and he just goes up and gets it over Chancellor. And that's got to be a good feeling right there for that true freshman playing in this first time in the arch rival Clemson game.
On a keeper inside the 5, down to about the 2-yard line goes Stephon Gilmore. Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator for Florida State, compared Stephon Gilmore as a corner to Deion Sanders. He said he's got that kind of athleticism. Well, now you're taking that kind of speed and putting it into quarterback in the Wildcat. Now it's 2nd down and goal.
Well, and Deion never played quarterback, but for Stephon Gilmore right here, be smart down here. You've got him down here now. Be smart with the football.
Gilmore on a cutback down to the 1-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and goal.
We talked with Dabo Sweeney about this. He said last week, Virginia had such success with the Wildcat that he expected this from South Carolina. So this is not taking Clemson by surprise. They had practiced against the Wildcat and anticipated this. This is just good play by Carolina.
Well, now 1-5 comes out, the other 5 comes in as Stephen Garcia now goes back in at quarterback. Maddox is the eye back on 3rd and goal. They run the option, the pitch out, and Brian Maddox will walk into the end zone. Touchdown Gamecocks. A 7-play, 60-yard touchdown drive off the fumble recovery by Eric Norwood.
Rivalry games are so much about emotion. This is no different. Looks like we may have a good one.
You can always count on seeing something you haven't seen before when you do a game with a team coached by Steve Spurrier. And certainly Clemson, as you said, Brian Greasy, not surprised by the fact that Stephon Gilmore, the true freshman corner that played quarterback in high school, came out and ran a Wildcat that I'm not sure Clemson had much film on coming into this afternoon.
No, and I expect more trickery out of Steve Spurrier and the Carolina Gamecocks. And we've had 2 touchdowns early in this game, 2 turnovers, 1 kick return for a touchdown. This may be one of those games where you don't have time to get up to the fridge and get a sandwich.
A short kick trying to maybe keep it away from C.J. Spiller, except it's Jacoby Ford back deep to receive the kickoff. And instead it's Jamie Harper. And Dabo Swinney on the first offensive possession for Clemson tried to unleash one himself as they tried an option pass to Jacoby Ford. Now an errant snap picked up by Parker, and he has to eat the football at the 36-yard line for a loss of a yard.
Yeah, just a bad snap. Dalton Freeman, the center, is a redshirt freshman, and he's lined up. That ball's just low, right off the left foot of Kyle Parker, and a little bit of jitters from the redshirt freshman Freeman in the middle.
They roll the pocket right. Parker throws on the run, and he hits Ford. All right, Reese, thanks very much. Kyle Parker off to a good start. 3 for 3 for 48 yards. And he's got a couple. Flip Matthews was there to make the stop. The Clemson starters offensively at the top of your screen.
And we were talking with Ellis Johnson, the defensive coordinator from South Carolina this week, and he said the key to stopping C.J. Spiller was to hit him hard and hit him early and hit him often and kind of take him out of the game. Now, he wasn't out there on the kickoff return, so he didn't have an opportunity. But this is a physical South Carolina defense, ranked 3rd in the SEC, that has the ability to hit him often.
Play action fake by Parker. High throw, tipped and out of bounds. He wanted Michael Palmer, the tight end. It'll be 3rd down and 8. That's his first incompletion.
And he doesn't mind being outside the pocket. A lot of times Billy Napier will set him up in the pocket, allow him to drift. And on the move, he's pretty accurate. And this is not a bad throw. Opportunity to make a great play. But if it's not there, you don't throw the interception. Only Michael Palmer has the opportunity to catch that ball like that.
The slot man at the bottom of your screen is Jacoby Ford. Spiller now motions into an empty set. 4 receivers left. Parker well protected with a flag down. Intercepted. Picked off. Down the sideline goes Devontae Holloman. Ford does a great job to run him down at the 11-yard line.
Number 72. Penalty will be declined. first down.
That's only the third interception by a defensive back for South Carolina all season.
And we talked about the freshman, true freshman quarterback playing, not forcing the football. He's late on that throw, and Devontae Holloman, who is a true freshman, playing in the secondary as a backup safety for Carolina, jumps that route, but that ball was late. There was a zone that Kyle Parker had to hit on time, and if you don't hit that zone, it gives the opportunity for the safeties to jump the route, and that's what happened.
Steven Garcia in at quarterback. He keeps it, and he's inside the 10, down to about the 8-yard line for a gain of 3.
You're going to see let's look back at the interception. Holloman's here. They're going to run an in route, and Parker's late with the football, allowing Holloman to jump the route. You're going to see a lot of zones today. Kyle Parker is worried about covering C.J. Spiller man coverage, but he's late with that throw, and that was an easy interception for Holloman.
Flip pass into the left flat. Staying on his feet is Wesley Saunders. And the Gamecocks have another touchdown off a turnover. The extra point is good. Another look at the touchdown.
Second touchdown of the year for Saunders. You see him line up right here at the tight end position. He's going to come. It's the throwback screen to the tight end. It's going to be wide open. You clear out on the backside, throw the ball back, and he has to make one guy miss, which he does, and gets in for the score. Seems that South Carolina is one step ahead of Clemson so far in this game. Outside of the first kick return for a touchdown on offense and on defense, South Carolina has been one step ahead. Credit the coaching staff and Steve Spurrier. They had an open week last week, 2 weeks to prepare for this game, and a nice job of using the emotion early on the part of Clemson against them. And for South Carolina, it's been some trick plays, some different looks, and some turnovers on defense.
And it's amazing what happens in these rivalry games. What did Steve Spurrier tell us? We can't buy a takeaway. They went a month without taking away the football defensively. Now they've got 2 takeaways for touchdowns here in the first quarter, setting his offense up, and both times his offense converts. Clemson has won this game the last 2 years in a row. They've won this game 6 out of the last 7 years. And yet they're jumping now here in Columbia. Jacoby Ford back deep to receive the kickoff. Again, a short kick. Again taken at the 25-yard line by Harper. And it's out to the 38-yard line tonight at 8 Eastern. ABC and ESPN2 will deliver 2 full national games. Charlie Weiss and Notre Dame will take on Heisman candidate Toby Gerhart and Stanford. Or you can see a Peach State rivalry as Georgia battles Georgia Tech. Both games can be seen nationally on either ABC or ESPN2. Go to ESPN.com and search maps to find the game you want to watch. Jonathan Dwyer will be back in action tonight as not only Georgia Tech, but Clemson preparing for next week's ACC championship game, which we'll have for you Saturday night. End around to 4. And he picks up about 3 yards. Clifton Geathers was the first man there for South Carolina.
That time they fake to Ellington into the line of scrimmage rather than the Spiller. Not as much sting when you fake the ball to the backup halfback rather than the Heisman candidate. Good defense on the perimeter by South Carolina.
Spiller dodging tacklers at the line. 2 yards shy of the first down. And that will bring us inside of the final minute of what has been a wild first quarter. A game that began with C.J. Spiller, 88 yards for a touchdown on a kickoff return, and has now seen his offense turn the ball over twice, setting up 2 short fields for South Carolina. And as a result, they have the 14-7 lead. Have we seen a bad rivalry game yet? Going back a couple of nights ago to Texas A&M, which was a wild game.
Something in the air this year, and this crowd is certainly into this football game, and they feel that they can win against Clemson. They haven't won here in 9 of the last 10 years. They've got it going.
Parker pitches it. Spiller cut down. A loss of 2. Stephon Gilmore stays home, and Clemson will have to punt.
Well, and Stephon Gilmore's got to be the early MVP for South Carolina. He's making stops on defense, playing quarterback on offense. Now he's going back to return the punt. You can see why Steve Spurrier's excited about this young kid.
A 7-point lead for South Carolina at the end of the first quarter. Fireworks throughout the first quarter. C.J. Spiller with an 88-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, 3 turnovers. A rivalry game between Clemson and South Carolina. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Williams-Brice Stadium, the scene this year for the Clemson-South Carolina game. College football on ESPN presented by Cars.com. We start the second quarter with Clemson not only down 7, but punting it away. The workhorse has been Stephon Gilmore, and he is back deep to receive the kick from Dawson Zimmerman. From the 15, Gilmore makes the first 2 miss. Pretty good return. Out to the 23-yard line, and Brian Griese. Turnovers have been the offense for South Carolina.
South Carolina comes in not having forced a turnover in the last 4 games. 2 already early in the first quarter, which both lead to touchdowns here. First one, Brian Maddox, and then the interception by Holloman on a late throw from Kyle Parker leads to this touchdown. Tight end screen to Wesley Saunders and puts the Gamecocks up 14-7 in the first quarter.
Trap handoff to Kenny Miles for about 4 yards. Ricky Sapp made the stop.
And when you're getting turnovers on defense, it allows the play caller to get into a rhythm. And that's what Steve Spurrier wants. He wants to get into a rhythm calling plays on offense.
Miles again for a first down. Let's check in again with Reese. So 14-3, UConn has the lead over Syracuse. And a timeout has been called by South Carolina. The Gamecocks have the 7-point lead in their rivalry game, the Palmetto Bowl, here at home against Clemson. Clemson and South Carolina have met every year since 1909. And Steve Spurrier's team, points off turnovers, and Brian, they lead 14-7.
Yeah, he said, you know, the keys to this game were the kicking game, turnovers, and running the football. Well, they lost the kicking game so far with the return for a touchdown. They're winning in turnovers. They have 2 of them, and they have 65 yards rushing already.
Barnes on an end around. Gets cut down at the line of scrimmage. Ricky Sapp stayed home and made the stop on Jason Barnes.
And running the football for South Carolina is not going to be just out of the eye, downhill. It's going to be off reverses, much like this here. And for South Carolina, when they rush the ball for 100 yards or more this year, they're 5-1. When they don't get to 100 yards, they're 1-4. So it's a big key for them today.
Lost a yard on that play. Still out rushing Clemson 64-8 in the opening quarter. And this is Patrick DeMarco, the nephew of Chris DeMarco. It's a long-time standard on the PGA Tour.
And that's now 6 players who have rushed the football in the early in this game for South Carolina. The fullbacks, Stephon Gilmore from the corner position, the wide receivers, the quarterback, and the running backs all getting touches in the running game.
3rd and 7. A keeper for Garcia. And he barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. That's the 64th time this year that Clemson has forced the team 3 and out.
Well, and a pretty conservative call by any coach's standards. Really conservative from Steve Spurrier's standards on 3rd and 7 to run the quarterback draw. And I don't know, it's been success in the game running the football, but 3rd and 7, you got to trust your quarterback to throw it, especially against a team that plays a lot of man coverage.
Spiller and Ford back deep to receive the punt. This will be C.J. Spiller at the 17-yard line. A flag down as Clemson may have roughed the kicker. There goes C.J. Spiller again. A great return out to the 38-yard line, but they might wipe it away. And O'Brien, that doesn't go down as a turnover, but it might as well go down as a turnover because now South Carolina gets the football back.
Certainly does, and Ricky Sapp right there was engaged, getting blocked, and ran into the kicker. Clearly, that you're right, Bob. It is a turnover, especially if South Carolina can do anything with this change of possession. Clemson would have had the ball on their 40-yard line. Now South Carolina has it on their 45, so you're right. It is equal to a turnover.
How this game has turned for Dabo Swinney's Clemson Tigers since the kickoff return for a touchdown by C.J. Spiller to open the game. Garcia to throw. Has a man wide open near side and a drop by Mo Brown. 2nd down and 10. Maddox breaking tackles. Brian Maddox turns the corner, and he's got a 1st down. Finally brought down by Cresden Butler after a gain of 13.
And a great job by the offensive line up front. You're going to see the push that these guys have on the defensive lineman is what creates the separation in the hole for Maddox. And then he just gets up underneath Andre Branch number 40. And
Garcia wants the home run to Jeffrey. Incomplete. Broken up by Chris Chancellor at about the 1-yard line.
And Garcia and Steve Spurrier like the matchup with Jeffrey, who's 6'3", on Chancellor, who's 5'10". You saw it earlier in the game when Gilmore gave him a chance and Jeffrey went up and got it. Another opportunity for Jeffrey. It looks like he should have come down with that football.
He's a different kind of athlete, a true freshman that leads this team in catches and is 5th in the SEC in yards per game receiving. Here comes the blitz on 2nd down. Garcia over the middle, incomplete. Again, it's Chancellor back in coverage, that time on D.L. Moore.
And Chris Chancellor is being physical in the secondary. Does he get the right arm on his back there? It doesn't look like. It looks like a good play from Chancellor. A good no call by the official. This crowd doesn't agree, though.
Well, Chris Chancellor at only 5'10", the first time against the 6'4" Alshon Jeffrey. That time against the 6'3" D.L. Moore. He knew that they were going to challenge him, South Carolina, with the height of their wide receivers. Here comes the blitz again. Garcia does well to buy time on 3rd down. And he's down inside the 30-yard line. It'll be 4th down and 6 from the 30.
Clemson comes with the blitz off the weak side. Garcia does a great job of escaping the pocket. Takes a pretty good lick on the sideline. And I like the effort, but you got to play the entire game, Jeff.
Took a little while for Steve Spurrier to make the move to Spencer Lanning. It looked like he might leave his offense out there and go for it on 4th and 6. Instead, he sends Lanning out for a 47-yard field goal attempt. This would match his long this season. Certainly has the distance. Off the upright, and it caroms through. The Gamecocks are living right in the first half against Clemson. They stretch the lead to 10. When it's your day in a rivalry game, it's your day. Lanning good from 47 yards. A local artist here in Columbia named Blue Sky painted this mural on the federal land bank right here in Columbia. His work exclusively represented, shockingly enough, in the Blue Sky Gallery nearby. And a moment ago, Spencer Lanning painted the inside of the right upright with a 47-yard field goal. 17 unanswered points for South Carolina. 2 touchdowns directly off turnovers. And Brian, that time a field goal at the tail end of a drive that was kept alive by a roughing the kicker penalty against Clemson. So it was almost like a pseudo turnover. 17 straight points for the Gamecocks. And a squib kick, trying to keep it away from the return men. Now to about the 36-yard line goes Andre Ellington. And now it's time for our Aflac trivia question. Eric Norwood led South Carolina in sacks each of his first 3 seasons. Who's the only Gamecock to lead the team in sacks in 4 seasons? Wow. We'll have the answer coming up.
I've got a guess.
Was it anyone that buried you during your career? That's a long list.
That's not very nice.
Spiller on first down. About a 2.5-yard gain. And again, we check in with Reese Davis. Reese, again, the scoreboard says that game's close. If you watch those 2 teams this year, probably shouldn't be. Those rivalry games, though. We've got a good one going here between South Carolina and Clemson. Kyle Parker finds his tight end, Michael Palmer. Palmer carries a tackler out to the 45-yard line, about a 1.5 yards shy of a first down. Eric Norwood, as we said, is the USC record holder and SEC active leader in career sacks. Look at the other names on that list. How about Derek Thomas at the top, and he's only 3 away from Reggie White.
Yeah, some great names. Reggie White, Alex Brown, David Pollock led the SEC for a while. Derek Thomas, about 52 career sacks for Derek Thomas. He's head and shoulders above everybody else on that list.
Timeout called by Parker. So Clemson takes time for the first time here in the first half. 9:17 to go before halftime, and it's a 10-point lead for the Gamecocks. The annual matchup between Clemson and South Carolina. The Gamecocks more than doubling up Clemson in total yards, and a big 3rd down and 2 after the timeout for the Tigers. Parker wants to throw for it and throws it away. Intended for Chad Deal as fullback. Dalton Freeman, the redshirt freshman center, lost his shoe and is down and injured after that play. And that doesn't look good.
And 3rd and 2, evidence of Clemson's respect, I think, for South Carolina defensively up front. Their front 7 is very good against the rush. And Clemson opting for a play-action pass with an option down the field and then an outlet in the flat. And Carolina does a great job of covering both guys and nowhere for Kyle Parker to throw that football. But you got to believe that on 3rd and 2, you may have an opportunity to run the football for the first down.
And Dalton Freeman could barely put any weight on his left leg as he's being helped off the field. So now you've watched your opponent score 17 straight points. You've gone 3 and out for the 2nd straight drive, and you see your starting center limp off the field. Gilmore averaging right about 12 yards per punt return this season back deep. This will take a Clemson bounce to Gilmore. And he is apparently going to be ruled to have called a fair catch at the 10-yard line. I don't think that's what he was doing. I think the officials got that one wrong. I think he was trying to wave off his teammates with the low kick coming his way. Does he call for a fair catch?
Yeah, he crosses his arms. That's a Peter call. That's not a fair catch call.
That's a mistake made by the officials.
Yeah, no, the fair catch signal clearly has to be over the head with one arm. That signal that Gilmore made with both arms crossing in front of him is telling his teammates that are running down on the punt that it's a short punt. Watch out for the football so it doesn't hit you.
That's a big break for Clemson in terms of field position. Hand off to Maddox. And he's out to about the 14-yard line. Again, let's check in with Reese. All right, Reese, thanks very much. A quick snap by the Gamecocks, and Steven Garcia picks up a first down.
The spread read option has worked well early in the first half for Carolina. Now with 100 yards rushing early in the first half.
Garcia down the sideline is Maddox. Another first down. Out of bounds at the 41-yard line. The quick rhythm of a Steve Spurrier offense catching Clemson's defense off balance.
Yeah, and you're going to see him come out of the backfield here on the wheel route. Nobody goes with him. Clemson loves to play man-to-man defense. The receiver converges, and the corner goes with him, leaves it wide open for Maddox on the wheel route.
There goes Maddox again. Lost the football at the 46-yard line. Scrambling for it. Clemson thinks they have it. South Carolina recovers.
It looked like Jamie Cumbie, the defensive tackle for Clemson, number 8, had an opportunity to fall on the ball, but Maddox never seemed to really have possession of the ball. And there's Cumbie, number 8. If he just fell on, he had an opportunity, but it looked like Wesley Saunders, the tight end, was the one who came up with the football. Big break for Carolina.
So the Gamecocks avoid disaster and end up picking up 5 yards on the play. And now it's Kenny Miles in a tailback. And Miles going nowhere. Maybe a half yard. Andre Branch and Jarvis Jenkins combine on the stop. So a big play upcoming. 3rd down and 5. And again, no huddle. 4 receivers right. South Carolina's 3 for 6 on 3rd down. And now Steve Spurrier wants to call timeout.
They were all confused in their formation on offense. One guy was off the ball, one was on. A lot of confusion on the part of Carolina. Big 3rd and 6 when we come back.
Clemson has them in 3rd down and 5 after Steve Spurrier called that last time out. Garcia just got rid of it and a drop. Kenny Miles, if he picks up that catch, not only picks up the first down, but a lot more. Slightly underthrown by Garcia as Branch was coming with pressure.
Great play call against man-to-man coverage. You'll see 2 picks come inside from the receivers and the back in the flat. A good call by Steve Spurrier to get an open receiver. Good play call, bad execution as he dropped the football, but he had room to run on the outside.
A low kick, and it bounces out of bounds inside the 20-yard line at the 14. Time for the answer to our Aflac trivia question. They've had some good sack artists here at South Carolina. Eric Norwood is one. He's in each of his first 3 seasons led this team in sacks. Who's the only Gamecock to lead the team in all 4 seasons? You had a guess?
My guess was John Abraham from late 90s. Oh.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I had some experience. He played for the Atlanta Falcons, and I played for the Buccaneers, and I was always a little afraid of him on the edge.
Terrible field position for Clemson inside their own 15-yard line. Parker dumps it off right to Palmer. And he's out to his 19-yard line for a gain of 5. Two of the NFL's best aerial attacks take flight Monday night. Tom Brady and the Patriots take on Drew Brees and the undefeated Saints. A battle in the Big Easy between two of the NFL's best. It's ESPN's Monday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's at 7 Eastern.
I know I'll be watching that one.
Here comes the blitz. Does Parker see it? He barely gets it away, intended for Spiller. And he goes down. Clifton Geathers, the younger brother of Bengals defensive end Robert Geathers, came and just buried Kyle Parker. It has not gone well offensively of late for Clemson.
No, the last two drives, 3 and outs for Clemson. And that has got this crowd back into this game and giving Carolina a 10-point lead in the first half. It's important they get something going on offense.
Now a false start. Unless a timeout was called. They called delay of game before Clemson even had a chance to commit the false start.
You can feel this crowd getting into the ball game. Communication is difficult. This is probably the loudest stadium that Kyle Parker has ever played in. On the road, in a rivalry game, you've got to be able to manage the crowd, the noise, the play clock, everything.
Now it's 3rd and 10. Parker under pressure again. A flag down. And Spiller is brought down at the 15-yard line. We'll have to check the penalty.
That's the left tackle, Chris Hairston, a junior. We'll see him right here. This is Cliff Matthews going to come on an inside move and gets beat. Good effort by Matthews and a clear hold by Hairston. Matthews is arguably the most valuable player. I know Norwood is a good player on defense, but Matthews has been tremendous this season. He missed 2 games, and they lost both of them handily to Tennessee and Arkansas. But we're happy that he's back.
That ball may have been partially deflected. And it rolls out and is touched up at about the 28-yard line.
And I think a South Carolina player touched that ball. Came over to recover it and did not recover it. Allen, number 26 on the punt team, tried to recover the football. Was bobbled by Zimmerman right off the bat and then shanked. And then right here, Allen, for some reason, tries to recover the ball. I don't know why. And that's Clemson ball. A huge play for Clemson right there, and just a mistake by Allen trying to recover that football.
So Clemson able to keep their drive alive. They've got a fresh first down out to the 27-yard line. Devin Taylor got the initial deflection of the football. Spiller cut down at the 31-yard line.
And that's Gilmore again. I mean, he keeps coming up in this game. His name's being called a lot. Not only is he a good cover corner on the outside, but to come up and be a physical presence in the running game is critical for South Carolina against the perimeter rush game of Clemson, and right there a sure tackle.
Not much there for Spiller on second down. It'll be third down and 4. Ladi Ajiboye made the stop.
The South Carolina defense was confident coming into this game. You know, they play most of their competition in the SEC, very competitive. They felt like they matched up well against this Clemson offense, and right now Clemson seems a little bit out of sync. Their bread and butter is running the football and play action, and neither one of those is working for Clemson offensively. It's 3rd and 4.
Here comes the blitz. Ball thrown slightly behind Michael Palmer, but he adjusts and has a first down catch.
And that was a big 3rd down to get some momentum. You're going to see Palmer right here. He's going to go up and run an out route. Ball's thrown a little bit behind him, but Palmer has tremendous hands. He is a go-to receiver for Clemson. He's got 30 catches on the year and 3 touchdowns.
Hand off to Spiller. He's got about 4 yards, cut down by Eric Norwood as Clemson with that last first down. That's their first down in their last 4 possessions.
And they come into this game rolling offensively. They're averaging 38 points a game in their last 6 games, and for them to only have 7 points in the first half, credit South Carolina's defense.
Up the middle, Ellington. Another first down.
Ellington is a good changeup for Clemson. He comes in. Spiller's had a toe injury most of the season. They had to spell him. Only a redshirt freshman, but he's averaging 7 yards a carry. So when he gets the ball, he can do something with it.
Again, it's Ellington. And he picks up 2 yards to the 41-yard line as we go down under 3 minutes to go in the opening half. And Spiller back in now.
And look at the effect that a fake reverse has on the secondary and the backside pursuit of South Carolina when Ford comes in motion. 3 players over there have to respect his speed, and that opens up the hole for Ellington in the middle of the field.
Here comes the blitz off the edge. Tipped ball at the line. It's still batted around. And finally it falls incomplete. Demario Jeffrey jumped up and got a piece of the football, and it was almost another Clemson turnover.
They're trying to throw this slip screen, and Jeffrey just gets his hands on the ball, and that is a dangerous ball in the middle of the field and very close to the 3rd turnover for South Carolina in the first half.
3rd down and 8. Parker over the middle, low throw. Is it roll to catch? No, a trap. Again, Eric Norwood brought pressure. Intended for Xavier Dye.
And there comes Norwood right in your living room, and Kyle Parker's not allowed to step into that throw. Doesn't have room, and that was a close to being a catch. Good job by Dye going down to try and get it, but it looks like it just skipped off the ground. But the pressure by Norwood right up the middle off of a stunt. They try to get him free, and it's hard to be accurate and step into your throw when you got that guy breathing down your neck.
Dabo Swinney, I think, is going to call timeout. The play clock was winding all the way down, and he had not yet decided what he was going to do. Will they go for it on 4th and 8 from the 41-yard line? We'll find out when we come back. All right, Reese, thanks very much. While we were away, they ruled that Xavier Dye did indeed trap this football. They did go upstairs just to take a look to make sure that this was indeed an incompletion. And it was. And during that timeout, Dabo Swinney decides, and probably the right move, instead of going for it on 4th down and 8, from the 41-yard line. He brings out his punting unit to try and pin South Carolina deep. Kick that angles to the near corner and bounces into the end zone. So Zimmerman can't pin South Carolina deep. And there have been some adventures of late on special teams.
Yeah, there have. And right there, a penalty called. Said he's called for the fair catch. And right here, a bobble snap and a shank. One mistake trumped by another mistake. And Clemson keeps the football. But the kicking game has played a big part in this game with the early return on the opening kickoff for a touchdown and then 2 mistakes there. Rivalry games and emotional games a lot of times will turn in the kicking game, and that was one of the keys that Steve Spurrier mentioned when we were talking to him this week.
Kenny Miles out to about the 27-yard line. Now, one clarification in terms of an NFL rule as opposed to a college rule we've been informed of. If you wave your hands in any way, that constitutes a fair catch signal in college. Whereas there's a difference, as you said, between waving off your return men or your blockers on the punt return unit, the pros, and actually signaling for a fair catch. Well, if you wave your arms at all in college, it's a fair catch. Garcia, first down and more. Out to the 37-yard line. That'll stop the clock for a moment, and it starts again with 1:45 to go in the first half. South Carolina still with a timeout, and they already have more rushing yards than they average per game here in the first half.
Yeah, and that's really the difference in this ball game. And Steve Spurrier mentioned the importance of rushing the football and time of possession for Carolina, keeping this explosive Clemson offense off the field.
Quick screen to the near side to Jeffrey. And he's brought down at the 41-yard line. Nice tackle by Preston Butler. And that will cost South Carolina some time. How about the balance from a play calling standpoint here if you're Steve Spurrier? You want to hurry up, but you don't want to take unnecessary chances with a 10-point lead.
Well, you got plenty of time. There's a minute and a half, and they're on the 42-yard line, so there's time to get at least in field goal range here.
And there's another chunk play. A first down to the 45-yard line as Kenny Miles picks it up. That'll stop the clock with 45 seconds to go in the half. Spencer Lanning already good from 47 yards out here in the first half, equaling his long this season. Play action fake under pressure, and down goes Garcia. Sacked by DeAndre McDaniel.
DeAndre McDaniel came up from his safety position and was unaccounted for. Play action there, had a receiver down the field open, but McDaniel gets to Garcia before he can get the ball off.
South Carolina spends their last timeout. A curious call by Steve Spurrier to call timeout with 15 seconds to go in the half. A 10-point lead for South Carolina over Clemson. Closing moments of the first half, and tonight at 8 Eastern, ABC and ESPN2 deliver 2 full national games. First, embattled head coach Charlie Weiss and Notre Dame take on Heisman candidate Toby Gerhardt and Stanford. Or you can see the Peach State rivalry, Georgia and Georgia Tech. Both games can be seen nationally on either ABC or ESPN2. Just go to ESPN2.com and search maps to find the game that you want to watch. Bob Wischusen, Brian Greasy here in Columbia. 15 seconds to go before halftime. And out to the 50-yard line is Kenny Miles, and that might take us to halftime, and it will. Fireworks in the first half. Dabo Swinney's team down by 10. The head ball coach with a 17-7 lead, as South Carolina leads Clemson at the break. Now let's go to Reese Davis in the studio with Mark and Lou. It's the Bud Light halftime report. Reese,
2 touchdowns, and then the personal foul on the punt led to a field goal. So all 17 points for Carolina have really come off of turnovers.
Dabo Swinney's team lost the toss. Steve Spurrier not only won the toss, but elected to defer to the second half. So that might have had something to do with the somewhat conservative play calling by South Carolina right before halftime, with Spurrier knowing that Stephen Garcia and his offense is going to be out there to begin the third quarter with a 10-point lead. They've got Bryce Sherman, a redshirt freshman, back deep to receive the kick. Down in the lower left-hand part of your screen, you might be able to see some of the members of the South Carolina band. It's crowded here for a rivalry game. They're having a hard time getting back up into the stands. The teams are ready to go, but they've got some band members on the field. I happen to remember, I think, a rivalry game where there were some band members out onto the field. You don't want the tuba player being run over if all of a sudden there's a fumble and a surprise touchdown.
I think they try to keep them in the stands, in seats now. They're not down around the field today.
Well, now we're set. Sherman from about the 4. Good return out to the 29-yard line. Now for today's Vonage game track. And C.J. Spiller got things started early for Clemson, but 17 points on the board for South Carolina. And a lot of it had to do with the turnovers.
A lot of it, the first turnover, a fumble, leads to Brian Maddox on the option, and then a late throw over the middle by Parker leads to another interception and touchdown pass to Saunders. And that got South Carolina off to a good start in this game, and they want to keep the momentum here on this first drive offensively in the second half.
Keep it on the ground with Brian Maddox. Daquan Bowers tripped him up after a gain of 2.
I've been impressed offensively with South Carolina, the way they've been able to run the ball. Clemson comes in the second-ranked defense in the ACC and very good up front. South Carolina doing a good job of rushing the ball.
Now to the 31-yard line off the quick snap goes Maddox. Brandon May was there to make the stop. May approaching 90 tackles on the season.
Clemson has not been down a whole lot in the last 6 games. They've come out and pretty much dominated all the teams they've played the last 6 weeks in this 6-game winning streak. And this is their first little bit of adversity on the road in the rivalry game.
Blitz comes on 3rd and 8, and a drop by Jason Barnes. Well, there's the 3 downs and out. That's the specialty of this Clemson defense. They come into today number 3 in America in forcing 3 and outs.
And Kevin Steele, the defensive coordinator for Clemson, is going to bring the pressure on 3rd down. Rashard Hall, number 31, comes free in the middle and forces Stephen Garcia to throw that ball before he wanted to. And I expect Clemson to turn up the heat a little bit here in the second half and try to create some turnovers for their offense.
Spiller and Ford both back deep to receive the kick. This will be Spiller from the 21-yard line. Not much there. About a 3-yard return for C.J. Spiller. Brought down by Charles Turner.
And you think Turner's not excited? He's a long snapper, got down there, and he's just hoping to catch a leg or a shoelace or something, and he ends up tackling C.J. Spiller in the open field. And that's kind of those, well, look what I found moments, but a great job by him getting him on the ground. Well, good job by Clemson defensively, getting a 3 and out. First series of the second half, getting the ball back for their offense to get something going.
Spiller brought down in the backfield by Shaq Wilson. A loss of a couple.
You're going to see Shaq Wilson right here is going to come up and blitz, and one of the offensive linemen missed the assignment. They're supposed to pick him up as a run-through player. The left guard, Thomas Austin, who's a senior, just went right by him and allowed Shaq Wilson to get penetration in the backfield, and no chance for C.J. Spiller.
Spiller motions to the top of your screen. It's an empty set. And they try a little bubble screen to Spiller, just to get him in the open field. And he lost the football. Darian Stewart popped it free. And the Gamecocks have it again.
What a hit by Darian Stewart, number 24 in red. Uncharacteristic of C.J. Spiller, but a great hit right there with the shoulder pad right on the ball. And Gilmore falls on the ball, but an uncharacteristic turnover from C.J. Spiller. But a great hit by Darian Stewart, and that's what we talked about, the physical nature of this SC defense playing every week in the SEC. They see some of the best defenses in Alabama and Florida, but this team is ranked 3rd in the SEC in defense, and it's because of their physicality.
Garcia under pressure. And he'll scramble forward for about a yard. You know, talking to Ellis Johnson, Brian, this past week, the assistant head coach to Steve Spurrier in charge of the defense, he said that. He said about its defense, you know, we have not had all 11 for 2 straight games this season, so we haven't really gelled, but he said we can run. And his hope was that Clemson is playing in a league without nearly the speed and physicality that we see every week in the SEC. And Ellis Johnson was a defensive coordinator at Clemson, 1995 to 96. He said, I've coached in both leagues, and there is a huge difference between the SEC and the ACC in terms of speed and physicality. Patrick DeMarco brought down after a gain of a yard. And, you know, when he said that, my thought was, well, those fighting words, if you're from Clemson, to hear that your league is just that inferior in the opinion of a coach that's now in the SEC that's coached in both leagues.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, watching this South Carolina defense in the first half, they have been fast to the ball. And I'm not sure how many defenses Clemson has seen that have that kind of speed so far this year.
We said coming in that South Carolina defensively is going to be the best team that Kyle Parker has faced all year, and it's turned out to be true. I don't necessarily agree with Ellis Johnson's take on it. I think there's some good teams in the ACC, but
Alshon Jeffrey right at the first down marker. It depends on the spot. It looks like he has it. It's a first down for South Carolina.
Well, they haven't asked Stephen Garcia to throw the ball very much today, but just a quick slant on the weak side. This is the second time that Jeffrey has caught that ball. The last time he fumbled it, that time he held on.
Again, the quick snap, and Ricky Sapp ready for Brian Maddox. It's the Palmetto Bowl, the 107th meeting between Clemson and South Carolina here at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. I'm Bob Wischusen with Brian Griese. Clemson at 8-3, already a division champ out of the ACC, against a South Carolina team that's trying to get to 7-5 to close out the year. The rivalry game in this state. Second down and 10. Rather, first down and 10, pardon me. Knock away at the 15-yard line, so it'll bring up a big play in a moment after we check in with Reese. Well, Reese Davis and those guys have the best seat in the house, watching all of these rivalry games all weekend long. Third down, and a long 10 close to 11, and a timeout called by Garcia. So we'll take a quick timeout as well. Early in the third quarter, South Carolina trying to stretch their lead.
Back in Columbia, South Carolina, and Steve Spurrier has not asked his quarterback to do much today. Only 50 yards through the air, but 3rd and 11, he may need some help.
Normally South Carolina, second best in the SEC throwing the football. They average over 240 yards a game. Faced with 3rd and 11 here. They want the screen, high throw, incomplete. A tight end screen intended for Wesley Saunders.
And a safe call for Steve Spurrier on 3rd and 11. The odds of converting in that situation are very low, but it's a safe throw. You avoid the turnover, and you allow your kicker to come out and extend this lead to 13 points.
And you're turning it over to one of the 20 semifinalists for the Lou Groza Award. Spencer Lanning already good today from 47 yards out. This will be from 42 yards away. He's 16 for 18 on the year. Blocked. Some momentum for Clemson, perhaps. Looked like Brandon Thompson, or rather Jarvis Jenkins, may have gotten through and gotten a hand on the football. Clemson blocks the field goal. They'll have it at their own 25 when we come back, down 10. You want to talk about some facilities? They certainly have them in South Carolina for football. How about baseball as well? That weight room that you saw was just for the baseball team. Plus a 3,900 square foot indoor batting cage complex. The Gamecocks have been to the College World Series 3 times this decade. They lost to Texas in 2002 in the championship game. But Adam Everett, Brian Roberts, a couple of well-known big leaguers that were Gamecocks at one point. After the blocked field goal, 1st and 10 for Clemson at their own 25-yard line. Xavier Dye in motion. Spiller trying to bounce it to the outside, dragged down. Parker wants the bomb for Jacoby Ford, way over his head. And the young man that was that upset after Clemson lost to Georgia Tech, he's not much happier today with what he's seen. It's the same guy, David May, the crazy Clemson fan you may have seen on the internet, just telling his troubles to the poor guy sitting next to him. It's kind of a pseudo bartender. The Tigers down by 10. His view's a little worse today than it was for the Georgia Tech game. He's in the Bob Uecker seats, 3rd down and 8. Parker to the sideline, incomplete. Another 3 and out for the Tigers. Terrence Ash, the intended receiver.
That's the 4th 3 and out for the Clemson Tigers in this ball game, and just cannot get anything going offensively.
I think someone may have let him know, hey, you're on television.
There he is. All right, we got you.
And it didn't even look like he cared that he was on television. It's just one more person to complain to about what his Tigers are going through. And the guy next to him is probably thinking, thank God someone's calling.
I'm glad he got a new hat after he wore the last one out.
Zimmerman's punt. Taken by Gilmore at the 30. Gilmore off the sideline. Steps out of bounds at the 45-yard line. All right, Reese, thanks very much. Back here in Columbia. A run up the middle for a couple of yards. Do you think the folks at Boise, Cincinnati, and TCU were watching the Auburn-Alabama game with a little bit of interest?
There were a lot of interested eyes watching that game last night, and a good finish there for Crimson Tide. Interesting to see what happens with Mark Ingram and whether he can be ready to go against Florida.
Yeah, John Elway had the drive against Cleveland. I know you spent some time with Elway. Well, that will go down as the drive in Alabama history. One of the great Iron Bowls. Flea flicker. Garcia for Mo Brown. Bobbles it and makes the catch.
And you just started to get the feeling that Steve Spurrier was getting bored with the running game. It's been very successful, but he just wanted to get some flair into his game. The flea flicker, and you'll see Brown come down on the out route. A good throw by Garcia. And I think that ball actually hit the defender on the helmet and ricocheted into Brown's hands. Good concentration. Alexander, the linebacker, was in coverage, and that is a mismatch that Steve Spurrier will take every time.
After the flea flicker loosens up the defense, Kenny Miles. 1st down to the 14-yard line.
Good job up front, straight lead draw. A few missed tackles. Gilchrist, 12, misses a tackle. You start to feel the momentum, and Steve Spurrier getting into a rhythm with his play calling right now. He feels like he can start to open up this offense a little bit, get some big chunks.
Garcia to the end zone, wide open, bobbling it, and coming up with the touchdown catch is Torrey Gurley.
Gurley was wide open, a blown coverage. There's nobody back there. And he was bobbling that ball. He has possession now, and was that foot in or out?
They may have to go upstairs to check. Let's see if the replay booth buzzes down before the extra point is attempted. The extra point's good. So Tory Gurley, who came to South Carolina with the last name Childers. That was his mom's last name, but he changed it to honor his dad, Norris Gurley. Norris Gurley died in a car accident in May of 2008. He was only 42 years old. Well, his son, with his name on the back, just caught a touchdown pass in the rivalry game with Clemson. A big lead for South Carolina. I think the Gamecock fans are letting some frustration out today. 24-7. Their team has the lead over number 18 Clemson. Steve Spurrier's teams against the top 25 here at South Carolina, only 6-15, but they're 1-2 this year. Remember, they beat Ole Miss when Ole Miss was ranked 4th in the nation back earlier in the season. Short kick again, trying to keep it away from Spiller. But when you do that, you just about give up the 40-yard line, or at least the 36, where Deal brings it back. And let's go back to the touchdown.
Yeah, let's go back and look at the value of formations from Steve Spurrier. And Clemson loves to play man coverage. Right here you see man-to-man coverage now. Steve Spurrier's going to bring in motion and get to a stack alignment. When you get to a stack alignment, the DBs have to make a decision on who to take. And if there's any indecision there, you get a touchdown, an easy throw for Steven Garcia. But the value of formations and motions in Steve Spurrier's offense, creating confusion in the secondary for Clemson, who likes to play man coverage.
Can Kyle Parker get something going offensively for the Tigers? They have been bottled up. Ford takes a heavy hit at the 39-yard line. C.C. Whitlock was there. Let's again go back to Reese. So a great game going on in North Carolina and a great game here in South Carolina. Parker under pressure. Breaks the tackle, gets it up the sideline. Ford can't haul it in. Demario Jeffrey was trying to chase down Kyle Parker.
Clifton Gathers came through, number 96, and got good pressure on Parker there. And you see a string of punts here for the Clemson offense, and really not much at all offensively. And you've got to credit South Carolina defensively. And what have they done to stop this offense? They played predominantly zone coverage and forced Kyle Parker to be efficient and take what the defense has given him. And today he has not been able to move the football.
Ellington in motion on 3rd and 7. Parker again running for his life. Again can't convert on 3rd down. Again it's Clifton Gathers and Eric Norwood bringing the pressure. 7 points on the board for Clemson, but again that was the kickoff return by Spiller.
And here's Gathers here. He's going to come on a move to the outside, and Norwood's going to come to the inside. And they are just teeing off right now, and Clemson's offensive line is not matching the intensity of South Carolina up front. Down 17 points in this game. They know that Clemson has to throw the football to get back in the game, and right now their ears are pinned back.
This South Carolina defense, for all intents and purposes, pitching a shutout. No offensive points scored by Clemson. Only the C.J. Spiller kickoff return for a touchdown to start the game. Gilmore makes a fair catch at the 20. Two of the NFL's best aerial attacks take flight Monday night. Tom Brady and the Pats against Drew Brees and the undefeated Saints. A battle in the Big Easy between two of the NFL's best. It's ESPN's Monday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. It's not too bad. 42 combined touchdown passes against 15 interceptions. I think those two guys know what they're doing.
Two guys that will undoubtedly be in Canton when it's all said and done.
Gotta love those Big Ten quarterbacks, don't you?
It's a factory.
Kenny Miles. to the 26-yard line. Not just Michigan. There are a couple other schools that put out quarterbacks out of the Big Ten.
Well, Michigan and Purdue right there. I'll be rooting for Tom, and my old man will be rooting for Drew, undoubtedly.
Just feels, Brian, like the kind of game where if Clemson is going to make a push, their defense at some point is going to have to make a big play and give their offense the short field. Garcia brought down right at the line. It'll be 3rd down and 4. Unless the ball popped out. Garcia finally pops out. He still got the football. Brandon May was the first man there, and he was followed by about half his teammates.
He never went down. Garcia never went down. I think he took 5 shots. Interior of that defense and never went down. And again, I love the effort. 1, 2, 3 shots. Another shot. 4 shots and never went down.
When his forward progress stopped, my goodness, blow the whistle.
At that point, he's just trying to find a place to get down on the ground. He couldn't get down.
Kenny Miles on 3rd down and 5 breaks a tackle and picks up the first down.
Yeah, and a good job up front blocking this Garrett Anderson, number 70. You're going to see him right here get to the 2nd level and seals it off, and that allows Miles to get through there. Looked like a face mask penalty as well, but a good job by that offensive line. And Garrett Anderson, the senior, playing in his last game here in Columbia, doing a good job opening up those lanes.
South Carolina way over their rushing total average for the season, but they lose a yard here. Cabell Connor has been somewhat quiet today. Led the charge for Clemson. Loss of a yard on 1st down.
What's really amazing is that South Carolina comes into this football game last in the SEC in rushing yards per game. Now, a lot of that has to do with the amount of sacks that they've taken, which is last in the SEC as well, but only averaging 116 yards a game coming in, and now they're at 162.
Kenny Miles for 5 yards. It'll be 3rd down and a long 6.
And I think Steve Spurrier is content now, the latter part of this game, if they can run the football to take some time off the clock. Up 17 points. He mentioned the importance of time of possession to us this week in rushing the football. And their 2 losses to Tennessee and Arkansas, they were way behind in the time of possession, and their defense was on the field for way too many snaps. So he's content to burn as much clock as possible.
Screenplay, underthrown and blown up. Intended for Jason Barnes. President Butler jumped in front and broke that play up. So Dabo Swinney's defense gets the stop. Now can their offense get something done?
That was a chance there. It looked like for President Butler potentially to step in front of that pass. Jason Barnes on a slip screen. You got to come back to the quarterback, and he kind of stayed stagnant. It was potential problem there.
Again, it's Ford and Spiller back deep to receive the punt. Wobbly kick, returnable for Jacoby Ford. And Ford's out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Papa Schusen and Brian Griese here in Columbia. What do you have to do if you're Clemson to get something rolling offensively? Where do you start?
Well, they haven't been able to rush the football, and that's the success that they've had this year has been run the football and play action off of it down the field with big plays. But with no running game, they have no play action game. That's really hurt today.
Can you get C.J. Spiller the ball in space somehow? Do you expect the screen game to maybe be a part of the game plan more so than it's been?
Well, you have to, and he is so electric. Anytime that he has the ball in his hands, he can go the distance, and the big plays are what have been so successful for them. They have to find a way to get him the ball in space.
Play action for Parker. Steps up in the pocket, under pressure, tucks it under, hurdles a man, and runs for a first down. Finally into plus territory goes Clemson offensively with a first down, a gain of 18 on the scramble by Kyle Parker.
And this is the added dimension that Kyle Parker brings. Nothing downfield. Watch him elude Eric Norwood right there. The All-American runs right around him, and then the athleticism to leap over the defender and get out of bounds. That is a killer on a defense when a quarterback can rush the football like that.
Blitz off the edge to the near side. Not ready for the football was Terrence Ash. So TCU making it look easy against New Mexico. To this point, South Carolina's made it look pretty easy against this Clemson offense. Second down and 10. A little hitch to Ellington. And he is stood up at the 42-yard line. A gain of 4 yards. Maybe 3. It'll be third down and long. Cliff Matthews jumped back to make the tackle.
And I think what you see now from Billy Napier in this offense is they are respecting the pass rush of South Carolina. Cliff Matthews and Eric Norwood are getting tremendous pressure up the field when Clemson decides to drop back and throw it. And so Clemson is going to start to throw more screens and those type. Roll Kyle Parker out of the pocket to neutralize that rush. That's the only way they feel like they can be effective.
Clemson has struggled on third down, 3rd and 7. Ford, nothing there again. Darian Stewart all over Jacoby Ford. It's a loss of 2.
A great job by Stewart. You'll see him right here. The guard, Thomas Austin's going to come and try to kick him out. Doesn't get there in time. And Stewart is like a rocket. Comes up and makes the stop on Jacoby Ford. Another screen from Clemson. It looks like South Carolina defensively is on to what Clemson and Billy Napier are trying to do right now.
And Dawson Zimmerman pinned the Gamecocks deep. Closing moments of the third quarter. Wobbly kick, fielded and returnable at the 7 by Gilmore. And he's brought down inside the 15-yard line. Tonight at 8 Eastern, ABC and ESPN2 combined to deliver you 2 full national games. How badly does Charlie Weiss need a win for Notre Dame against Heisman candidate Toby Gerhart and Stanford? Or you can see a Peach State rivalry. It's Georgia taking on Georgia Tech. Both games can be seen nationally on either ABC or ESPN2. Just go to ESPN.com and search maps to find the game that you want to watch.
Georgia plays Georgia Tech. Clemson plays their rival, South Carolina. Both teams are in the ACC Championship next week, but they've got business today.
Maddox, shy of the 15-yard line. No gain on first down. Again, Cavell Connor. Approaching 300 tackles for his career there to make the stop.
I think we're going to continue to see a heavy dose of the running game from South Carolina. With a minute left in the third quarter, they're up 17 points. And Steve Spurrier is content to burn some time off the clock.
Well, his defense is pitching a shutout.
Yeah.
Garcia slants one, caught. Torrey Gurley down the sideline. Out to midfield.
And when you run the ball, play action becomes more effective. Right here, you'll see off of play action, just a curl flat concept. And a good throw by Garcia. And the true freshman, Torrey Gurley, 6'5", 227 pounds, and looks like he can motor a little bit. They're excited about him here in Columbia.
Well, that 36-yard reception, adding on to his touchdown catch earlier. He now has 2 touchdown catches this season. He's had 4 touchdown receptions this year called back because of penalties. Miles for 3 yards. And that'll take us to the end of the third quarter. Can Dabo Swinney's team rally in the fourth quarter and challenge South Carolina? The 107th meeting between South Carolina and Clemson. There's been some fireworks, but it's a 24-7 lead for the Gamecocks as we go to the fourth quarter. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. The Palmetto Bowl between South Carolina and Clemson, dominated surprisingly by the Gamecocks. 24-7, they have the lead. They have done it with their defense and an offense that has avoided the big mistake and capitalized on turnovers by Clemson. Clemson's only touchdown this afternoon was to start the game, an 88-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by C.J. Spiller. But offensively, Dabo Swinney's team has been shut out by a South Carolina defense that has done the job for Steve Spurrier. We start the fourth quarter with South Carolina driving for more points. 2nd and 6. A keeper by Garcia. 2 yards shy of a first down. Brandon May on the tackle.
And this Clemson defense at some point has got to turn the ball over, make something happen, because offensively they just have had nothing going off. And 10 possessions, they've had 3 turnovers on offense and 7 punts in 10 possessions. And as you mentioned, no points. And this for an offense that came in averaging 38 points a game in the last 6 weeks. So
3rd down and 2. Nice job by Clemson to stack the line and shut down Brian Maddox. Cavell Connor, who has been showing up a little bit more in the second half than he did in the first half. It's 4th down, as Maddox actually lost a yard, so it's 4th and 3. And a clear punting situation for South Carolina.
Yeah, and a big stop by Clemson to get a negative play there was huge, because you got to believe that if Steve Spurrier had gained a yard and got to potentially 4th and 1, that he would go for it right here. So a big stop by Clemson and a negative play forces the punt.
Now the punting unit comes out with the play clock all the way down to 8. They may just take the delay of game penalty and give Spencer Lanning a little bit more room. It's down to 2, down to 1. Now it's at 0. Now will Clemson decline the penalty? Now it looks like they'll take the 5 yards and back Lanning up. So C.J. Spiller and Jacoby Ford back deep to receive. Punting in plus territory, though. Oftentimes it's a surprise if you get a returnable ball. Low snap. Lanning has to avoid the rush and gets off an end-over-end hopping kick down inside the 20-yard line. Talk about ugly and getting the job done. It's down to the 15. Unless they say that it hit a South Carolina player, which they may say out near the 32-yard line.
What a great play by Lanning. I mean, that ball was clearly going to be blocked. And if he didn't sidestep to the right, it would have been blocked. But a great decision by Lanning. I mean, that basically avoids a turnover. Sapp, number 7, came off the edge and was going to block that kick. What great sense of...
Well, one of the officials threw the beanbag. I guess they're going to say that it hit Eric Norwood, who was down at about the 32-yard line. So that constitutes illegal touching, which will give Clemson the ball at their own 32-yard line when we come back. It's only a 16-yard punt in the end. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. And the SEC dominating the ACC so far in this matchup between South Carolina and Clemson. The Tigers have the football back at their own 32-yard line. College football on ESPN, presented by Cars.com. Here's another look at the punt, and a nice job it was by Spencer Lanning just to get the kick off right about there. It looked as if it may have touched Eric Norwood. It certainly bounced off his chest at the 22-yard line. The officials actually said that it may have hit Norwood at the 32-yard line. So that's where Clemson has the football. They may have been about 10 yards off in terms of field position here, but it's been a defensive game dominated by South Carolina. Parker to the outside. Modest gain to Michael Palmer. Stephon Gilmore was there on the stop.
And now at this point for Clemson, you really have to abandon your offensive plan coming in. You have to throw the football here. You're down 17 points in the fourth quarter, and you need to score early right here on this drive to get back in this game.
Clemson has their center back, Dalton Freeman, back in the game. Parker up the sideline, incomplete, way over the head of Xavier Dye. Let's take a look at our Liberty Mutual Drive recap, and it has not been an enjoyable day recapping the drives for Clemson.
As you can see, and on the day, they've had 8 punts, 3 turnovers, and 11 possessions and 0 points. So it has just been complete domination by the South Carolina defense, and they're looking for more blood in the water right here.
Third and a long 5, closer to 6. Over the middle, tipped ball, almost intercepted, and a flag comes out. This will be roughing the passer called against South Carolina. Cliff Matthews came up the middle, blow to the head.
Yeah, and I think it was pretty clear. You're going to see Matthews come through on a stunt, and he launches right into the head. Yeah, and that is malicious there, and that's in college football today. That's what we're trying to avoid and trying to protect defenseless players. And Cliff Matthews is a heck of a football player with a lot of heart and a lot of hustle and leadership, but plays like that start to make you question.
Parker under pressure, can't avoid the rush. Sacked by Devin Taylor.
Clemson has no answer right now for the pass rush of Gathers and Matthews and Norwood. That's why they were trying to throw the screens earlier, but they need to get the ball down the field.
Parker tries to do just that. Leaping catch made by Michael Palmer at the 34-yard line of the Gamecocks. A little light for the Clemson offense.
Well, and you got to give it to Kyle Parker. He's been back there getting hit, knocked around, just took a shot to the chops. Right here, he stands in there and throws a dart to Palmer in between 2 zone defenders and may give some life to this offense.
Again, they go empty, 5 wide. Underneath it's Spiller, out of bounds at the 28-yard line. All right, Reese, Parker's ball batted down at the line. 3rd down and 4. Down 24-7 in what you have to think might be 4-down territory for Clemson.
Yeah, and Kyle Parker liked what he saw in the secondary. You'll see Dye up here running an in route, and he's wide open. It's where Parker was going with the football. It just got knocked down at the line of scrimmage.
Nathan Pepper knocked it down. 3rd down and 4. Four-man rush. Parker pumps down the sideline for his tight end, incomplete. Try to stop and go, and Palmer was open for a moment, but Kyle Parker's.
Yeah, they tried to throw the fake slip screen down the field to Palmer, and the South Carolina defense was very disciplined, did not bite on that fake, and was in good position to make the play.
And Parker's throw was late, so now instead of going for it, it's been a struggle of late for Clemson. 9 for their last 17 with 5 missed PATs as well. But they'll try a 45-yard field goal here, and they've got it. So Richard Jackson makes it a 2-score game again with 11:23 to go in the 4th quarter. The first offensive points of the day scored by Dabo Swinney's offense. And it's a 14-point game. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Well, this is the reason why people that live where I live move to where the folks in Columbia, South Carolina live. You get days like this as we approach December. A beautiful day here in Columbia for the rivalry game between Clemson and South Carolina. Richard Jackson for the 45-yard field goal to make it a 2-score game. So a little bit of hope for the 18th ranked Tigers. College football presented by Cars.com. Bob Wischusen alongside Brian Greasy. And now it's Spencer Benton that will kick off for Clemson. It's
My first time here in Columbia for this Palmetto State Rivalry, and I was coming into the stadium before the game, and the tailgaters were in the parking lot 4.5 hours before the game. I mean, they were taking it serious here, and there's a lot of orange in this stadium, but a great rivalry and just the atmosphere of college football. This is what it's all about, and especially senior day for these South Carolina kids.
Bryce Sherman from the 5. Almost split the group out to the 30-yard line. Tonight at 8 Eastern, ABC and ESPN2 have 2 full national games for you. First, it's Charlie Weiss and Notre Dame taking on Heisman candidate Toby Gerhart. And Stanford, or you can see the Peach State rivalry, as Georgia takes on Georgia Tech. Both games can be seen nationally on either ABC or ESPN2. Just go to ESPN.com and search maps to find the game you want to watch. And is touchdown Toby Gerhart still in your Heisman race?
Well, he's been tremendous this season. Their team is 8-3, and you know, he is definitely should be in the discussion. And I don't know if he gets a plane ticket or not, but tremendous season for him and the Stanford Cardinals.
Pump fake and a keeper by Garcia. And he is brought down a yard, maybe 2 shy of the line of scrimmage by Jamie Cumby. Let's go back to Reese. All right, Reese, a moment ago, Clemson was on the move, and they got a field goal to pull within 14. Now trying to get another stop defensively and get the football back. A trap handoff, and this will not do it for the Tiger defense. A big gainer into plus territory for Kenny Miles.
Clemson brings a blitz off the strong side, and you're going to see a block by the right tackle, Eckerson, to open up the hole for Miles, and the speed of the redshirt freshman into the secondary, and Clemson's starting to take some chances now. They've got to get a stop on defense, and when you take chances as a defense and blitzing off the edge, you open up running lanes inside, and a good job by this South Carolina offensive line, which has been tremendous all game in opening holes. Almost 200 rushing yards already in this game.
Kenny Miles for a couple of more yards, as Miles now goes over 100 yards for the 3rd time this season. His other 2 100-yard games were against Kentucky and Vanderbilt. So this is a different kind of defense. As Steve Spurrier's redshirt freshman tailback is doing it against today. And time of possession, 10 more minutes for South Carolina.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, Steve Spurrier he's not so going to pigeonhole himself and say, I got to throw it every down. He wants a 50-50 mix. That's his perfect balance. And when you rush the ball like this, it's easy to call plays.
Miles comes up 2 yards shy of the first down. Boy, a must stop now for Clemson defensively. 3rd down and a long 2, close to 3. Not in field goal range yet for South Carolina, so you would be forcing them to punt if you get a stop here.
Again, I think it's important if Carolina gets at least 1 or 2 yards on this play. I think they entice Steve Spurrier into going for it on 4th and 1 the way they've been running the football today.
Mo Brown shifts into the backfield. Miles breaking tackles and again has the first down. Cresden Butler had a chance to bring him down at the line, and Miles took a shot to the back of the head. He's shaken up.
Well, and Clemson brings a blitz off the strong side. They're in good position. Just a missed tackle by Cresden Butler right there. Allows them to get the first down, and Dabo is deflated. That was the stop that he needed.
So Kenny Miles to the bench off of a career-high 114 yards. Averaging nearly 7 yards per carry, but now he's out of the game. And Brian Maddox is back in at tailback. Maddox finds a crease and moves the pile to the 30-yard line. A gain of 6 more.
What's really impressive, Bob, is that Carolina is rushing the ball in the second half almost predominantly with Clemson having 8 guys in the box. They're rotating the safeties down, trying to get the extra defender in the box to stop this rushing attack, and they still can't stop it. Now 215 yards, and they're converting on 3rd down and 4, rushing the football. 1st down, they're averaging over 4 yards a pop, so just everything working right now for Carolina on offense.
Maddox again, right at the first down marker. And they may have to measure. It's a rivalry that has been dominated by the Tigers. Again, Clemson leads all time 65-37. There have been 4 ties, but they've won 9 of the last 10 times the game has been played here in Columbia. They've won 2 in a row and 6 of the last 7 overall. South Carolina's only win in that stretch back in 2006.
And so much rides on this rivalry all year long. The fans of South Carolina and the Highlands and the Midlands and the Lowlands, everywhere in this state, everybody's talking about Clemson, South Carolina, who's going to win. And South Carolina has been on the wrong end of this rivalry the last few years, as you saw. And how much this would mean to South Carolina, and specifically the seniors, to go 6 or 7 and 5 with a win at the end of the year over Clemson after the last 2 years really having a collapse at the end of the year. This will be a huge win for the South Carolina Gamecocks and Steve Spurrier.
Maddox again, down at the 22-yard line. That was the 51st running play of the day for South Carolina. And this is a drive that began with 11 minutes and 23 seconds to go. So coming up on 5 minutes eaten up off the clock. And really a field goal ends the game here, Brian. It makes it a 3-possession game. The only chance that Clemson has is to rip the ball out or hope for a field goal miss. But at some point their defense has to stiffen and get a stop. Brought down at the 21-yard line by Brandon Thompson. And this will take us under 5 minutes to go.
And I know that Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers really wanted to come in and finish off their season in the right way and get some momentum going into the Georgia Tech game in the ACC championship. And you got to wonder what's going through his head right now. Not only potentially losing this football game, but to have 224 yards of rushing on your defense. And next week you got to face probably the best rushing team in college football in the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They've got some real things to fix defensively.
Garcia will keep it. And he is popped at about the 21-yard line by DeAndre McDaniel. That was the 10th play of the drive. All 10 plays had been rushing plays. And now Dabo Swinney will call a timeout. The clock continuing to roll. Dabo Swinney and his coaching staff screaming and yelling at the officials. The officials did acknowledge the timeout and did signal that the timeout was probably called with about 5:22-23 to go in the game. And for some reason, the game clock continued to roll. So they will most likely put some more time back on the clock when we return. And it has been the SEC team in this Palmetto State rivalry that has dominated. 24-10, South Carolina has the lead. I'm Bob Wischusen with Brian Greasy here at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. Chance to make it a 3-possession game with 5.5 minutes to play for Spencer Lanning from 38 yards away. Right down the middle. Well, now Dabo Swinney's team really is in a hole as Lanning gets it done. Clemson down by 3 scores. We've been watching a lot of fans while we were away leave Williams-Brice Stadium, and pretty much they're all wearing orange. Not too many folks in red have moved, and that student section has been rocking all day.
Here's the Clemson fans up there.
A 3-score lead for South Carolina in the rivalry game with Clemson with 5:22 to go. And it has been a long time coming, or at least seemingly so, for that group. C.J. Spiller hoping to get a chance to bring back this kickoff, but with a 3-score lead, I'm not sure that Dabo Swinney's expecting his franchise player to have a chance to bring one back. I can't imagine South Carolina would kick the ball to him. And they don't.
I think a fan threw something down on the field right at the 50-yard line. Looks like an orange of some sort. Yeah, these fans have endured an up and down season this year, and they are going to savor every single moment of this game against Clemson.
Well, if you live in this state, and if you're someone that roots for the Gamecocks, Clemson obviously has dominated this rivalry. A 7-5 season feels a whole lot different when it closes out with a win over Clemson.
And they've lost their last 3 games, and you know, if they were to lose their last 4 games, they lost their last 4 games at the end of last year, and so for them to do it again this year would have been catastrophic. And
a short kick will come down on the near side to Spiller. They hit him as an up man, and he ends up with the recovery. And the return out to about the 36-yard line. And again, let's check in with Reese. Well, Reese, talk about a big hill to climb. That's what faces Clemson right now with 5:15 to go. And not a South Carolina fan has moved. They're all here making a ton of noise. Parker again throwing off his back foot. Finds Ellington. It's a 4-yard gain. And Clemson has to hurry up.
And at this point, South Carolina's content to play a 4-deep coverage, stay as deep as the deepest, and then rally to the football when they throw the ball underneath. And Clemson's just got to get some completions.
That's a first down, not inside of the last 4 minutes yet, so the clock will continue to roll. Michael Palmer makes the catch. They've got it set for play. As Clemson hustles up, and there goes the clock again. Ellington motions wide. Up the seam. Should have been intercepted. Another chance for Devontae Holloman. Brandon Clear, the intended receiver.
And Holloman had good recognition on that route. The skinny post on the weak side, and he's reading the eyes of Kyle Parker. And as a true freshman, to have the wherewithal to stay deep and then read the eyes and break on the football. Good job by Holloman. And this is a tough situation for a quarterback.
C.J. Spiller on the sideline as well. A throw to the near side into South Carolina's territory goes Jamie Harper. Run out by Akeem Auguste after a gain of 4 yards. And C.J. Spiller back in the game now for Clemson. Normally a team that approaches 400 yards per game in total offense. Not even at 200 today. Over the middle, though, wide open is Michael Palmer. Inside the 25-yard line.
Good throw by Kyle Parker, and out and up here by Michael Palmer. Just Holloman has been jumping some of those routes, and right there, Akeem Auguste, the other safety, was looking for a big play interception and bit on it, and Palmer got down the middle.
Parker under pressure, tries to throw it away. Being chased by Eric Norwood.
Well, you're going to see Norwood come off the edge and barely got anything on him, and the speed reminds me a lot of John Abraham with that speed and quickness, and you know he's enjoying himself on senior day, the last time he'll play in William Bryce Stadium, giving him an opportunity to just tee off here in the 2-minute drill at the end of the game.
Again over the middle, the catch made, walking into the end zone is Michael Palmer with the first offensive touchdown of the day, scored by Clemson. 3:46 to go.
And the same play they hit early in the drive, Palmer runs a quick out and up, and the defender bites. He's right here, he's going to go out and up, and the defender bites on it, and he's wide open for the score. Is it too little, too late, or can they get an onside kick?
The The point after makes it a 10-point game with 3:46 remaining. Does Clemson have a miracle comeback in them? Number 18, Clemson, in their rivalry game with South Carolina, down by 10 with 3:46 to go. The Tigers still have 2 timeouts, but Brian, you have to imagine it's an onside kick here.
Yeah, I think down 2 scores with 3:45 left in the game and 2 timeouts, you got it. If they were only down 1 score, obviously they may be able to kick it down and stop them and call their timeouts. But 2 scores down, they have to get the ball back now.
There's the onside kick. And it's recovered down the sideline with a flag down. Out of bounds goes Alshon Jeffrey. I'm not sure that the kick traveled the necessary 10 yards. But Jeffrey fielded it on a hop and just took off. They may even rule that Clemson was offsides. So they'll add 5 yards onto the end of the run. It'll be half the distance to the goal, and it'll be 1st and goal for South Carolina.
Well, and everything has bounced South Carolina's way today. And when it's going well, and it bounces right into Alshon Jeffrey's hands. And that's a dream as a player on the hands team, for that ball to pop right up to you and you take it back for a touchdown. Didn't quite make it, but he'll take it. A victory over Clemson on Senior Day.
So it's 1st and goal inside the 5-yard line. Hand off to Maddox. Got to about the 4-yard line, maybe the 3. Marcus Gilchrist was there first. And 2 of the NFL's best aerial attacks take flight Monday night. Tom Brady and the Patriots take on Drew Brees and the undefeated New Orleans Saints. A battle in the Big Easy between 2 of the NFL's best. It's ESPN's Monday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 7 Eastern. Clemson calls timeout with 3:34 to go.
I think if you're Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers right here, obviously this game did not turn out the way that you wanted, but next week you have everything you ever dreamed of in front of you. The ACC championship game next week against Georgia Tech. That's what you talked about early in the season, what you wanted to accomplish. That's still there, but there's clearly some things that South Carolina has exposed in this Clemson defense, rushing for 224 yards. And Georgia Tech, obviously, with a tremendous rush attack. There is a lot of work to do for the Clemson team this week. And for South Carolina, a great way for these seniors to go out on Senior Day with a victory over their arch rival. And I think Steve Spurrier needed this game. There's a lot of talk in South Carolina about the collapses at the end of the last 2 years for South Carolina. And a lot of that has to do with their schedule. They played tough teams, Alabama and Florida, and then Clemson at the end of the year. But he has only been 1-3 against Clemson in his career at Carolina. This gets a big monkey off of Steve Spurrier's back.
And now Spurrier will call timeout, as Clemson would come from behind and win it 23-21. This one might not be quite as memorable, but it's going to be one as the Clemson fans at home said. Looks like South Carolina's going to get one of the rare wins they've had of late in this matchup.
Well, and you saw that at the end of that 2007 game, the field goal that eliminated South Carolina from a bowl game, and the disgust on the part of Steve Spurrier at the end of the game. Don't let anybody tell you that this game is not important to Steve Spurrier. He's been in a lot of big games in his career at Florida, but this is the biggest game of the year for South Carolina and for their fans. And it's kind of like Michigan-Ohio State. If you win that game, you have a good taste in your mouth the rest of the season. And for South Carolina, they're going to cherish this game for a long time the rest of this season.
Maddox on 2nd and goal. Moves the pile to about the 3-yard line. And I think Clemson Are they going to call their final timeout at 3:22 to go? The clock continues to roll. It'll be 3rd down and goal. Well, if Clemson calls timeout there, they let a lot of time wind off the clock before calling timeout. Dabo Swinney might complain that his timeout wasn't acknowledged, but and they're going to put the game clock back up to 3 minutes and 25 seconds. So again, the clock operator let the clock wind a little bit further down as we take a look at Steve Spurrier, who won the Heisman Trophy back in 1966 at Florida. Now, you might not remember, too, he had 10 years as an NFL quarterback all the way up to 1976. Two-time ACC Coach of the Year at Duke in 3 years with the Blue Devils. And, of course, painted his legend with 6 SEC titles and a national championship at Florida before, well, it didn't work out so well. An ill-fated venture to the NFL. 2 seasons with the Redskins, 8 games below 500, and probably learned that you can't block with 5 in the NFL the way you can in college sometimes, or you're going to get your quarterback killed.
But either way, a tremendous resume for Steve Spurrier, who's proven no matter where he goes in college football, he has been successful. And
3rd down and goal. Garcia tries it on a keeper. Gets to about the 1-yard line. Well, the crowd wants them to go for it on 4th and goal. And you know what? That might be the play.
I don't think there's any doubt. I think that Steve Spurrier wants to put the exclamation point on this game and this day for this South Carolina team.
Well, the other thing, if you miss it, they're 99 yards away from the score. If you make it, the game's over. If you kick a field goal, that stops the clock, and it also leaves it as a 2-possession game. So it's a 2-possession game whether you kick a field goal or not. They will go for it. Play action. Garcia back in the end zone. Touchdown. Wesley Saunders. And South Carolina will end this one in style. (34-17).
And for a team that's only scored 16 points in their last 5 games, for them to score 34 points today and to end it with a touchdown pass from Garcia to Saunders, the exclamation point on this game. And as this season winds down for Steve Spurrier and the Gamecocks, this is something that they can build on and no doubt will use in the offseason to recruit, but also to build on a young team. In a lot of ways, only 9 seniors this season. A lot of sophomores and juniors on this team. And for Dabo Swinney, opportunity to regroup. And you talk to your leaders, C.J. Spiller and Jacoby Ford, and talk about, listen, we need to put this behind us as fast as possible. Come back to work this week and get ready for the ACC championship. And their goals are still in sight for them.
Now, South Carolina is doing something to Clemson today that no team has done to Clemson this season. Clemson lost to Georgia Tech, TCU, and Maryland, but those were all games that they had a chance to win late. They were right in those games in the 4th quarter. This is the first time this season that Clemson really has been dominated and had their doors blown off. And this has been more lopsided than 34-17 would suggest. Is out of bounds, so it will come out to the 40-yard line. This South Carolina defense today has been the story.
They really have. They came in ranked 2nd in forced fumble, interceptions, turnovers, stopping C.J. Spiller in the running game, harassing Kyle Parker, Eric Norwood, and Clifton Gathers. Devin Taylor all getting in on the party, and there's been a party in the backfield today for South Carolina at Kyle Parker and C.J. Spiller's expense.
Parker outside to Dwayne Allen. That's good for a first down. Let's look at today's outstanding player of the game, brought to you by Remax. We're going to give it to the whole defensive line.
You have to, don't you? I mean, they have just wreaked havoc in that whole highlight package. Only 43 rushing yards and 220 total yards for Clemson offensively, and it started up front.
Parker missed Allen. Low throw, scooped up for about an 8-yard gain by Marquand Jones. Inbounds though, so it keeps the clock rolling. Clemson out of timeouts. Parker runs for a first down and slides inside the 35.
And you want to continue to compete with Kyle Parker. You want to continue to push the ball down the field, but you want to be smart. There's another game next week. You want to get down, don't expose yourself, stay healthy.
Parker floats one, running under it is Jaron Brown. Again, no timeouts for the Tigers. He's at least 4 yards shy of a first down, so we're under 90 seconds to go. Almost intercepted. Darian Stewart has played a heck of a game today for the Gamecocks, and he was in position.
You know, this is not the first game that South Carolina defensively has played well. I mean, they've played the top 2 teams in the country in the last 5 weeks in Florida and Alabama. They only gave up 24 points to Florida and 20 points to Alabama. So they've proven that they can play good defense here in Columbia.
Pass broken up by Chris Culliver. As Marquand Jones looks for a flag. It'll be 4th down. Over the middle, incomplete. A fitting way for this game to end with 1 minute to go. South Carolina, for only the 2nd time in about a decade, will be able to celebrate a win over Clemson.
And something this program can build on. A huge win for Carolina. And a lot of young players on defense and on offense coming back next year. Only lose 4 starters on offense and 5 on defense. So they've got a nucleus here in South Carolina with a quarterback as a sophomore that they can build on. And for next year, I expect them to be much improved in the SEC.
This is what's great about college football. You can go 7-5 and still win a game at the end of the year that is looked upon as the biggest of your season. And Dad gets the son in.
There he is. Yeah, Scotty Spurrier, as a senior here in Columbia, gets in on the last play, and he's going to direct some traffic. He wants to do something out there.
One last knee for Garcia, and that'll do it. Steve Spurrier and the Gamecocks, as convincing as could be over Dabo Swinney's Clemson Tigers. And this in-state rivalry that goes back 107 meetings will go to South Carolina.